All right, everybody. We got another very special guest for y'all this week. Everybody, please welcome back to the show the comic book powerhouse known as Kyle Starks. Welcome, Kyle.
Yes.
Hey, what a lovely intro. Thank you for having me.
Yep. Eisner nominated comic book powerhouse.
3-time Eisner nominee.
3 times, sorry. Yes.
Not 4. Not 4.
Sons of bitches.
Maybe next year. What are you going to do? It's all right.
Keep writing awesome comics.
That's all I'm going to do. I'm not here for the awards. The awards
No.
I don't get a bonus if I get an award. Let me call my agent.
Yeah.
Hey, can we work out like some sort of bonus situation?
Yeah, get you a bonus. Come on. Yeah.
What's that? There's no money in comics? That's interesting.
Oh, shit. What? You heard it here first, everybody. There's no money in comics.
I wish you would have told me that before I started. No, I do it for the love of the game.
And that's
should try talking about comics on the internet.
Yeah.
No money in that either.
All of comics.
We're in the red.
It's everything.
We're in the far red. But so we got a couple books to talk about today. I want to start off talking about Peacemaker Tries Hard because that's one of the books that Chris and I loved dearly last year. I had some questions about that, and then we'll talk about some stuff you got coming up. So how did that project come about? Because you had some crazy storylines in there with like the Demolition Team and the Red Bee and stuff like that. Like, how did you pitch this wild, wacky story for Peacemaker?
So the Peacemaker story, like every story in my career, is wrong. It's not how things are done. I was watching the show like everyone else, and I was enjoying it because I love. If you're familiar with my work, I love a big dummy who's trying the best they can and who's sort of overcoming themselves. And I like shooting violence, I guess. So I loved it. I thought it was great. I love James Gunn. James Gunn does a lot of things that I think I do, though he does them well and gets paid a lot more for it. Which is like it's big spectacle, but there's heart, and we try to do relatable, likable characters. And so someone tweeted during that season. Towards the end, I guess. I think it was maybe over there. Like, why isn't there a Peacemaker comic? And why isn't Kyle Starks doing it? And I went, yeah, wait, I could do that. Like, I could do the really good job with this. So I did like a retweet and I put, ha ha ha, like, call me DC, I'm available. And somebody contacted me in an hour, which again, not how it works. Not how it works. I think one of my editors at Skybound, maybe he used to be at DC and maybe was like, hey, you should consider this very quickly, I guess. So they reached out to me and they're like, we're thinking about doing a thing. Would you like to pitch? And I was like, I'd love to. And they're like, what do you think it should be? And I was like, it should be as close to the show as legally possible. But in regards to a lot of the character choices, I thought, well, what if I only ever get to do one DC book? So who do I want? Like, it's got to be Maul in the Brain.
Yep. I love that.
Red Bee is. So as you can tell, it's not the show. There's certain characters, like there's certain things that are missing. So when I originally pitched, it had Eagly, it had Vigilante. For various reasons, they were like, we're going to try not to use those characters. I was like, that's fine. We'll figure something out. I'll figure something out, which ended up being the very handsome, fancy little man, Bruce Wayne, and Red Bee.
Yep.
And Red Bee, I think I maybe was like, so I want this character to be, this character, basically Red Bee. But like, here's sort of the options. I think I was like, which one should I use? But I wanted Red Bee. It's always going to be Red Bee. If it was the second choice, I could tell the story better, right? I'd be like, I really want it to be someone else.
Yeah, right.
But I love Red Bee. I love Red Bee. He's one of my favorite because I like all these. Is like I don't think I've ever read a Demolition. Is that right? Demolition Crew. I don't think I've ever read a Demolition Crew comic. But I love them in the Who's Who. Like it's a lot of me. Like I love them in the Who. I love that. I wanted the Mike Mignola Kimmo, not the modern Kimmo, because he looks like a glass man full of juice. With like a nose, like he has a nose and he spits. You know what I mean? Like, and it ended up we went with a more modern version. But so a lot of it was just like me going, who might I like? If this is my only comic, if this is my only DC comic, and I kept asking and they never said no, which was like because it's Black Label, Label, right? But I thought for sure. Like Snowflame was going to be the line, but I guess he's everywhere now, which I didn't realize. But I thought for sure they'd be like no on Snowflame.
Dude, we love Snowflame.
Yeah, we used to
Which
do
sometimes great.
a segment on the show talking about like the weird, crazy villains
It
that
was shitty villain of the week. It was
Yeah.
before we did interviews. This was like 8 years ago.
Yeah,
and
so-
Snowflame was one
he's a
that we
good
just
one.
loved.
yeah.
he's like, but he's so. It's like it's so bad. It's good again because he's so unique.
Mhm.
Like there's no one else like Snowflame, and he had such a. Yeah, I think he's got a 1-issue appearance. That's all he'd ever been in.
Yeah.
Right, the Guardians of
Yeah.
the Globe. No, not
Yep.
that. Guardians.
No,
the New
no.
Guardians.
New Guardians. Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
And it's like it's such a that series is insane, but like that particular issue is so crazy. I think there's an
Yeah.
AIDS monster in New Guardians also, like some sort of AIDS.
It's
monster.
It's an AIDS vampire that.
Yeah. There you go.
I think it only bites because Chris and I did it. Oh man, he has a crazy name. Hemogoblin is his name.
Hemogoblin,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hemogoblin. Yep.
New Guardians
Yeah.
was wilding out. So, and it felt like you hadn't seen. It makes you wonder if people have been asking for what price is it late 80s, maybe early 90s. Had to be early 90s, I guess.
Yeah.
If for 30 years people have been like, please let us. And finally, they just broke down the because it's in. I think someone told me that Snowflame's in like the Harley cartoon, which I hadn't seen. Or
Yeah, they
I
do a
guess
lot
he's
of
everywhere
crazy.
now.
Yeah.
I thought they were really letting me get away with something, but anyway, I
I
kept
feel like-
asking, "Can I use this character? Can I use this character?" And they never said no. So
I feel like the floodgates kind of open. Like I think like the popularity of like Kite Man kind of helped all that, like bring in all the terrible characters that.
yeah, anyone's okay.
Yeah. And
I mean, they did Codpiece in the Doom Patrol TV series.
yeah,
so.
Chris and I have been preaching Codpiece for years.
They had the Beard Hunter. I mean, like I liked how that show leaned into sort of the Morrison weirdness of.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was
Right.
nice. But there's lots of like you'll never see Beard Hunter. No, you
Yeah.
will.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
The day my
Mentallo.
father was texting me, asking me about Flex Mentallo was one of the
Love
happiest days of my life.
Yeah.
Conversations you never thought you'd have with your father.
Hero of the
Yeah.
beach.
Mm-hmm.
And we love him. So yeah, that's the gist of it.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the why it was that story, but it's sort of all the things that I like. I just like that he's very modern in that he's trying to be better. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so
Right.
it's really sort of how can you have this path? And I'm working out a lot of dad issues, which is also great because Peacemaker has a lot of dad issues. So you can sort of see how
Mhm.
he's he becomes sort of a dad, and Red Bee is sort of the dad he wished he had, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of dance stroke and the brain
Dance
and
stroke. Yeah, that was great.
yeah.
I
Yeah, that's how it came about. We loved it. Just what's the most fun we could have, and what's going to be because I think it's very remiss when there's a very popular I don't mean successful, but I mean when there's a version of something that people really like,
Mhm.
which is I think that John Cena Peacemaker character, to not give them that, it seems like such a mistake. So it's just like, what's the most fun we could have? What's the best journey we could give readers who love this character?
Well, and that worked because I knew so many people are watching that show, and then we're talking about Peacemaker and everything, and then after that book had finished up, I was like, you got to read this. Like, if you like that show, it's very much that humor, even though it's kind of its own thing. And then I felt like every issue had like a moment in it where not was it funny, but it was like
had heart.
interesting. And like when we found out the spoilers, everybody, but it's
Yeah,
like
you should've read it
2-year-old
by
comic now.
Yeah.
When we found out like Red Bee only had one bee left.
Yeah.
I remember like that was my favorite moment.
Red Bee canonically only has one bee. He only has a bee at a time.
That's so sad.
Which is why he's so great. But
Yeah.
also, it's like, imagine being Peacemaker, just like, think of the machismo of Peacemaker and how overkill he is in so many ways. For this guy to come along and he's just like, I have one bee. It's like, why only one? Like, what's the value of that?
That's it.
But like, Red Bee is father to the whole swarm, right?
Yeah.
So he's over. Like, how long do they live? Like, how are you constantly replacing the bee? And the answer is, I think yes. I think
it is.
Constantly replacing the bee.
Yeah.
just mathematically, like even if you and I like Red Bee. I sort of did the thing, how like World War II era heroes have never aged really in DC.
Right.
I think it's funny. Like even if you go, he's extended. The bee surely is not. So I like the idea that he always sort of has like
it's never the same.
Like a chosen one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always named Michael, probably. Maybe not.
So
Michael is canonically the name of the original, and I can't think of who the publisher is. I want to say Charleston, but Michael was the name of his bee. Because I was like, what should I name the bee? And I remember writing like, and then I bought. You can read the old Red Bee books, like you can buy them. And I was like, oh, the bee's name is Michael. It doesn't even have a cool superhero name.
No, it's just some dude's name.
It's Red Bee and Michael. I love it. I love it.
It was like, what was it? Like WoW Comics #1. It's from like the 1940s or something, right?
It's
or
old,
something.
yeah.
Hit Comics number one.
Hit Comics #1. Yeah,
Comics.
yeah. And he's on
The publisher was DC.
It was DC.
Well, then he went. Peacemaker was part of Charleston, right? With the Blue Beetle and
yeah.
Peacemaker. Oh yeah, Peacemaker. Sorry, I stand.
Yeah.
So yeah, Red Bee was a great. He was in All Star Squad. Like I remember him being in like the background of things.
Yeah.
But like I never saw.
I think it's funny
those pants.
Yeah. Oh my God, the pants are amazing.
You know, Peacemaker's gonna hate those pants. He's got a blouse on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought he was great, and you would want to subvert those things. You know what I mean? It's always good to have one character be like, "Don't we all feel this way?" Which I think Red Bee is historically sort of a jokey character.
Yeah.
And then through the course of however many issues to be like, man, Red Bee's kind of dope. Like
Red Bee's the guy to look up to. Yeah.
I think that's fun.
I think it was interesting because at the same time, they had one of the storylines in the JSA or the Stargirl book. We had one of the new Red Bee characters popping up or something like that.
The female Red Bee?
The New Age. Yeah, which was like, I was like, I did not expect to have like 2 books. Red Bee in them at the same time or whatever, but yeah.
I bet they have more bees than my Red Bee has.
Yeah, maybe. I can't remember
now.
For sure. I think the timeline was,
so
she went back to find the bees and they were dead. I think it was a lot more sad, but either way.
It's her his grandniece.
Yeah, it's
and she had robotic bees.
See, that
can fire electricity.
Probably more useful.
That seems a lot better.
I like the thing that I like about Red Bee though is like the idea of like what he has is enough. You know what I mean? It's enough to fight the Nazis.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like it's simple, but he's like, what do you have? He's like, I got a good right hook and my friend Michael. It's like, what can he do? He's like, he can sting. Well, maybe
once sting once, and then
I was like, he's strong. Like that Bee's stronger than, I don't know. I thought it was fun. He's doing like lifting weights. He can carry a pistol. That's a strong Bee.
It's a pretty strong Bee.
Michael's tough, man.
I
hope nothing bad happens to him.
Was there any consideration to do more?
More Bees?
Yes, but no more Peacemaker.
I originally when I was writing like the first, I'll answer both. When I was writing the first thing, he had 2 Bees, but then I saw canonically he only read. I thought I read my memory of the Who's Who is that he had 2 Bees. Which is significantly better in my mind at the time than having just 1 Bee.
Yeah, you need a partner.
2 has to be.
Yeah.
At least you can go from 2 sides with your Bees.
Yeah, right. Anyway, just get swatted from one.
I was like, no, he only has 1 Bee. In regards to more, I mean, I'm sure sales had a lot to play in that. I don't think sales were quite as robust as they would have liked. I'm guessing because no one tells you what you sold in comics. That they weren't originally like, it's such a breakout hit. We need another one ASAP. But also, Black Label very much likes self-contained stories, so that doesn't surprise me either. DC has reached out to me for other things that they seem very aware of what I'm capable of doing and how I do things. So it's like it's all very. They ask me to do the things that I would want to do, or they say, "What do you want to do?" Which is like, I did Wild Dog, a 3-issue Wild Dog story, and Brave and the Bold, and they were like, "What do you want to do a 3 thing?" I was like, "Sure," and like, "Who do you want to do?" And I was like, "Oh. Here's a list. Number 1 was Wild Dog, and they're like, Wild Dog it is. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. They're just gonna let me do. They're just gonna let me do whatever I want to do.
That's you brought up an interesting thing, like working with Black Label. You hadn't done that before. Was that any different than working with DC or?
I'd never worked with DC before. It was my first DC thing.
Oh yeah.
No.
Okay. Oh, so Wild Dog.
I've done,
you had done stuff with Marvel prior, though.
Marvel, that's right.
Marvel prior, I had done like an 8-page story in the Secret Wars anthology, with like comedy anthology with I think Ryan Brown had one in there. Yeah, I had drawn like 1 page of Squirrel Girl. So I had this is like last year, 2023. I did Marvel Unleashed.
Yep.
I did Peacemaker, and I did the Wild Dog thing. I did Harley Quinn. I did like a 8-page Harley Quinn, and which I'm really proud of. I did with belching. I do that with best friend and regular collaborator Chris Schweitzer, who I think is just a national darling. He should be beloved by all. But I think I'm really proud of that. Like they've asked me.
Awesome.
DC's been great. They're like there's something that hasn't been announced that has to be almost done. I mean, I saw pencils like full pencils for I think it's like a 48-page one shot.
Oh boy.
Hasn't been announced yet. Are they waiting until the same day? I don't know. Like I don't know what's going on, but it has to be almost done. But the next thing they asked me to do, I was like, yeah, like it's in my wheelhouse. So I've been very fortunate with DC.
That's great.
And they keep coming back to me, which is nice. I'm not doing 7 books or anything. I'm not in my Donny Cates era yet, but
yeah,
they have been. We'll see. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Maybe one or two.
One or two. I can get in his basement. Yeah. But
that'd be awful.
I think it would be amazing. But yeah, DC's been great. Marvel, I haven't really heard back from since Marvel Unleashed, which is fine. That book didn't sell. Unfortunately, didn't sell well either. But also one I think is great. I thought it was a great book. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it made a pet book for Marvel lovers, and But that's the industry. All you can do, I think we sort of briefly like all you can do is just make the best work you can do. Like that's all. That's what we're here for. I'm definitely doing quantity over quality as much as I can. I learned that from last year. Last year, at one point, I had 7 books on the docket basically over the course of a month, and I ended 2, so it went from 7 to 4, but they were all 7 at one point. It's like I can't do that many.
That's a lot. That's a lot of books.
Yeah, quality over quantity. That's what Starksy says.
Yeah. I believe it. While we have you on the subject of DC, let's bring up Super Pets.
Sure. As we're saying,
the super special announcement that we just talked about before we
I'm just finding out about.
Yeah, Bite Identity Crisis, which is amazing, an amazing title, by the way. So you have a slew of writers and artists on this story. So can you just talk about how this came about? The new Super Pets project came about, or
here's what I can tell you.
Okay.
Can I talk about this, guys? I don't know, but we're gonna do it.
Sorry.
I got an email from an editor. Literally, the subject said, "This is the stupidest email I've sent like all year," and I'm like, I'm
Perfect.
stoked. This is an editor. This is the editor who asked me to do the book that hasn't been announced yet. Which I think once it gets announced, if you like Peacemaker and you understand and you're familiar with my work and know why I could do Peacemaker well, this next thing you'll be like, oh, let's go. You'll be like, let's go. I sincerely believe that, because when they asked me to do that, I was like, oh, I can do that too. Like, that's right in my wheelhouse. I'm so excited. I think I'll do a good job. So this is the same editor. They're clearly familiar with my work, which I like. They sent me this email, and here's what it said. It said, hey, we're doing a pet anthology book that we were wondering if you would do a 4-page bit that's the Watchmen but dogs. And I said, who woofs the Wolfman? I'm like, I'm in. So is it the dumbest thing that I've ever done?
This is to me, it's the greatest.
Possibly.
This is the greatest thing.
Yeah,
This is be the greatest thing I'll read all year, hands down.
They asked me. So here's the thing. Here's kind of a Starksy trick. Normally, if you said, "Hey, if someone said to me, they're like, "Hey, we're doing this thing. Do you want to do this Watchmen thing?" I'd be like, "Absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely not."
Yeah.
For many reasons.
Yep.
But if you said, "Hey, it's all dogs," whatever it is, like it's all dogs, I'm like, I really like dogs. I really like dogs. And they're like, you can draw it too, which is not for me. Like, that's not a selling point. Like, that's more work for me.
Yeah, right.
But I just thought, here's what I thought, as we just talked about. Here's who I've drawn now in comics. No joke. For Big 2, I drew the first thing I drew is Galactus for Squirrel Girl.
Yeah.
The next thing I drew was 1 page of Squirrel Girl, which was Mole Man and the Fantastic Four. Galactus, Fantastic Four, and now I've drawn the Watchmen. So basically, my whatever my job listing, you know what I mean? Is
Yeah.
Galactus, the Fantastic Four, and Watchmen. That's what I've drawn.
That's
So like I kind of
you
I can't say no to it. But
It's all down
the dog
there, though.
thing. The dog thing really got me, and basically the way I decided to do it, because I wanted to make sure like everyone got that it was very tongue in cheek, and that
right.
like I literally have. We'll see if they let me keep it where it says apologies to Morton Gibbons on it, because I mean it. Like I mean it. Is I basically
So
did, like, a
sorry.
newspaper-
So sorry.
Yeah, so dude, I'm so sorry, guys. There are dogs involved.
And the fans
Basically,
don't.
it's a newspaper strip. It's like a 3-panel newspaper strip, and each part is sort of like it's sort of like the outline of the book, but with dog jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
So
love
is it stupid? Yes. I just finished inks today, and I think it actually looks pretty good.
That's awesome.
But I sent it to my Peacemaker editor, and I was like, "What do you think?" And he said, "I love low hanging fruit." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know if that's what I want, but also that is what it is, so I'm here for it." But yeah, so it's the first. I don't know, man. Like it's. I don't know what other people are doing. I kind of wish they were like, "Hey, would you like to do like an 8-page Ace the Bat Hound story?" Because I'd be like, "Let's go."
Yeah.
But instead, I'm
We've been waiting
doing
for
this
that.
thing, and like,
Wow.
I think
Wow.
it'll be fun. You know, I see like Mike Norton. Like I didn't know who else was on it, but like Tony Fleeks and Mike Norton. Like,
Yeah, Michael Conrad.
come on, like,
oh, for
yeah,
art,
that's a
yeah.
great.
PJ
That's a great
Holden.
list.
Yeah.
Tony Fleeks is a good grab for something like this. He also is
Oh.
Yep.
animal adjacent. I guess last year every book I did had a dog in it, and the one thing I did that didn't have a dog in it was Wild Dog. So
There you go.
you know, still has a dog in it.
Yeah.
And I thought I was
technically
gonna
has
get
a dog
away from it, but man,
Yep.
I don't know. Dogs are great, and I don't know. I thought it was funny, even though I feel kind of bad about perpetuating whatever Watchmen nonsense is going on with the
I just
creators.
want to know, like, man, I want to see Alan Moore pick that up and be like, just his reaction. He's gonna love it.
He's gonna put a curse on me. He's gonna put it. Please don't.
He's gonna come out with a TED Talk about it.
Because of the dogs, Mr. Moore. The dog. I love dogs.
Yeah,
it is how they got me. They're like, hey, dogs. And I'm like, ugh, I do love dogs.
That's amazing.
Here's the worst thing, not the worst / best thing creatively in terms for me that I will just be like, oh, I have to do it, is if someone somehow triggers an idea in me and I immediately have like 3 bits. Like I immediately have 3 bits that I really like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I have to do it, just like, and that happened when I read those words. I immediately thought of like 3. I'm like, they're so bad. And as I was drawing it, I'm like, oh, I'll probably have to draw these dogs at conventions now for the rest of my life. So in many ways, it will be a curse. But I think it's a fun for what it was. If you like dogs and you like Watchmen, I think you'll like it.
I just picture like Rorschach like being like
Rorschach.
Rorschach.
No.
Rorschach.
Rorschach. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Looking down and being like, and I'll say rough or something like I don't know. Instead of saying like I'll say no or like I don't know. Oh my god.
You'll see. When did they announce is that release date on there?
Yeah, July. So that's coming out July 30th. Yep, July 30th. Wednesday.
I gotta get these colors done.
Yeah, so DC's back on Wednesday, everybody. That'll be on July 30th.
Yes.
So
I finally beat DC down to get back to Wednesdays.
Yeah. But no, I mean, this, joking aside, Chris and I love any of when like the super pets come up. We just love fun books, and for you to be working on that, like you said, I mean, I think it fits right with how you treated Peacemaker. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I can't wait to see what else is in there, honestly, because they said, I mean, like I love pets. I was like a pet anthology.
I think the super pets are so good.
If it was anything else, like literally, if it was we're doing a rock and roll, I'd be like, no.
Yeah,
we're doing. Yeah. I'd be like, no. They're like, it's dog. If they said cats, I'd be like, I'm out. No interest.
Yeah. I mean, me personally,
I don't even like when people go, hey, we have an idea. Will you do this thing? You know what I mean? Like we're thinking about, you want to say random series of words. It's not a thing. Hey, we're gonna do Aquaman, but he's like a cab driver. I'd be like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I kind of like. Listen, I like it. I do like if someone's like, we kind of want it to be like this, which they kind of did for Marvel Unleashed. They're like, this is what we want the end result of the book to be, but it wasn't like this is the story. I like that.
Right.
Okay, let me figure out how to do the goals that you want.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone's
Mhm.
like, here's a story thing, I'm like, no. And I don't know if they maybe wanted me to do like, here's a new Watchmen story, but they're all dogs. That's not what I did. That's not what I did. I literally tried to recreate, a masterpiece with cartoon dogs. And I'm like, that's fun. It's inherently funny to me, and
I
it's
love it.
inherently silly,
yeah.
and no one can be mad at me for that. Hopefully,
Nobody. This is going to be the
Fingers
best book of
crossed.
the year. Oh man, this is the
Yeah, I'm
Eisner right
excited.
here. The 4 pages.
If this is the Eisner, I'm gonna be. Oh man, that'd be amazing.
I'll take it. Listen, I'll take it. I'll take it for whatever. I have a feeling. I don't want to set up a tangent, but I have a feeling Barfly might be a good one just because I think everyone loves Patton so much.
Oh,
Like, that
dude,
might be the one.
Man, that segue. I love it. Thank you so much.
I did it.
Yeah. Barfly. So Minor Threats. I love that book. Speaking of shitty villains, like Chris and I were like, it's a shitty villain book. We need to read this book. And Patton, I think he's on volume 2 now, because it was
volume 2 just started, and Tim Seeley did the alternates, which was great. The alternates was great too.
Yes. Oh yeah. And so you are part of a it's a one shot about Barfly, right?
No, it's a 4-issue miniseries.
Holy shit. All right, let's go.
Yeah. It's a 4-issue miniseries. Ryan Brown's drawing. Ryan Brown's from Chicago, and I'm from Indiana. And
I love Ryan Brown.
I believe I was kickstarting Sex Castle at the same time he was doing God Hates Astronauts or Within. And we both have a connection to a band called Murder by Death.
Cool.
So I've known Ryan for a while, and never really thought we'd work together because we're both kind of doing our own thing comedy-wise, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So when he came up, like I was like 100%, and that dude is working way too hard. he's working way too hard on this book. I'm doing a book that's coming out right now called Pine and Merrimack from Boom with this guy named Fran Galan, and I've said, hey, even if you don't like me, you should get it. The art's unbelievable. The art's so good. Like even if you don't like the words, it's worth looking at. And like this, like Ryan Brown is 100%. It's. I just read 8 Billion Genies. I've read everything he's done as far as I know, and it's like I think it's his best art. I say, like he's really working hard. There's 8 gags in every panel. 8 gags in every. It's like it's relentless.
Wow.
So yeah,
and Barfly is just puking on people, right? I mean, like as far as his moveset goes,
there's some puke. Oh no, well, I mean, here in theory it is. He can presumably puke vomit.
Yeah,
he can see 360 because he's a fly.
Oh shit!
They can see in different wavelengths. He's a fly, and presumably a heightened degree of athleticism. I guess that's basically what I gave him. But the gist of the book is as such. Barfly's name is Shit Eater. First of all, that's the character's canonical name. We could not call the book Shit Eater, or we chose not to. We're calling it Barfly, which is funny because we see him at the lower layer, which is the bar, hence Barfly. Right. The bit is that he is a henchman for a supervillain called the Entomologist, who is a bug-based supervillain, obviously. But he's been in jail for 4 years, and Shit Eater is sort of trying to figure out like what's up. He's working there's a burger place. Also, I pulled as much as I could from their stuff. At one point they go to the Burger Bite. They're in the bathroom of the Burger Bite in Minor Threat. So he's working. He flips burgers. The other fry cook's trying to get him into punk rock music. But he's kind of just like he's this sweet little guy who just gets the ass end of everything constantly. Like he literally eats shit. Like he literally eats shit all the time. No, he metaphorically. What's the word? He doesn't literally. He eats burgers and stuff.
Right.
Like he's in his life, they call him Shit Eater, and nothing ever goes his way. Everything is always, he gets the short end of the stick all the time. And basically, end of issue 1, that boss comes back. It's like, well, what's going to happen now? He wants to get revenge on the people who put him in jail. The continuum. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
Pat, let me ask him. Let me call him up.
Yeah, call him up. Patton. How do you say it?
Continuum. He says continuum, just like it says in the dictionary, which makes sense. I don't know why I tried to do like a weird alternate.
Doesn't matter.
So yeah, it's basically like if you're an ex-henchman and you don't want to be a henchman, but also you're a weird fly guy, like what's life like? It's fun. I think it's a fun book. And Ryan, like I said, even if Ryan Brown's killing it. Killing it so hard. It's harder to write on it. That's not even a bit. It's harder for me to write we have 2 issues done and 3. It's harder to write because of how hard he's going at it.
Yeah.
Like I'm used to having to sort of like I'm going to write to try to make you understand the artist, and Ryan he's going so I'm like I have to adjust to him. Like I literally have to adjust to him. He's going so hard.
He's I mean, well, you said God Hates Astronauts. That was my first exposure to him. That's probably one of my favorite comic book series. But
it's literally insane.
Yeah.
And I would say like A Billion Genius I think is one of the best books in a long time.
Oh yeah, that's great.
There's a thing about it where I'm gonna say like Ryan is he's relentlessly creative, and he also loves to draw, I think, which I can't imagine being both of those things.
Yeah.
So he like there's things where I go, what's the simplest way to depict this? As when I'm letting the artist, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you don't want to overdo it.
Yeah.
No, he always overdoes it. And it's like, okay, I have to consider the artist more than just the story, which makes it a little challenging for me. But he puts like he'll literally put 3 gags in every panel, and they're all funny.
Yeah.
It's relentless creativity. And because of that, you read A Billion Genius, you're like, only Ryan Brown could do this. Only Ryan Brown would want to draw this much to make the story be what the story needs to be. I think he just really likes drawing, and I think he just has a bunch of silly ideas he can't restrain. And it's like, get after it, my guy.
His brain has to explode onto the page.
That's how I felt reading curse words with him. Like the backgrounds he was drawing were insane.
Yep. I had to open up. I had to open up Minor Threats Volume 1 for everybody. Barfly makes an appearance on the 3rd page. Well, my camera's fucking it all up, but Barfly's just sitting at the bar at the background on the 3rd page.
He's just hanging out,
which I love.
I guess what they told me was when they came to me, they're like, whatever fandom. I don't know how they were interacting with their fandom. Is there a Reddit? I don't know. Is there a Facebook page? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that everyone was like, who is this fly man? And they're like, we have to do something with the fly man.
Yeah. You can't just leave a dude that's a fly at the bar.
Why doesn't he have wings? You know, why does he not have wings? What's his deal?
He's so depressed.
Why is he at the lower layer? He's very depressed.
He looks
goes against him. I think he's kind of has an innocent naivete to him though, where anyone else would be much more run down. But I think he's just like, it could have been worse. I could still be a henchman in many ways to this awful, awful guy. Well, I hope it doesn't happen again.
I almost like the type of like personality I see for him. I don't know why is Arseface from Preacher. Is like,
you know what? You know how Arseface was like he still tried to keep it upbeat.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
There's some of that, and there's also like I think if I think about like in my head for this villain was like when Mole Man was at his worst, when he was actually like sending out swarms. Like you're like, man, Mole Man's like kind of a bad MO, you know?
Yeah,
and,
he's doing stuff.
Yeah, like he's getting after it, but like think like all those things are kind of his kids, right? Like sort of. So there's also, as I said, oh my gosh, are there daddy issues in this book? I guess there are. Things that I do over and over again. But it's also like if you're a bug-based supervillain who's making like Arnim Zola and those blobby guys, like those are his sons.
Yeah.
Proti or whatever his name is his son. He's that weird robot son. It's like there's also some of that. Like not only this guy mean to you, and these flies are literally cannon fodder. Like they literally exist. They're born to die.
Yep.
Like that's all fly. Like why would you even have a fly of all the bugs unless they were just there as cannon fodder? So it's a complicated relationship, and this dude's just like trying to like get paid at his job. Like he's like just trying to get some drinks at night. Like just trying to make it through life, and then for this awful guy come back, and what is he up to, and how bad is it going to be for Shit Eater? And I think it's interesting. I think it's fun. I like henchman stuff. It's not quite as like henchman union type stuff that I probably would really like to do, but I like the idea. It's kind of like Peacemaker in a lot of ways. I think there's something very modern, and I'm old, so I say that because I think it's very interesting. Like I have teenage daughters, and there's something about like just trying to survive, like just trying, that I think is so admirable. And it's interesting to like put people who are just like, I'm just going to get through the day and everything will be great. That's all, you know what I mean? Like, could things be better? Yes. but my only goal is just like I'm gonna make it through the day and it'll be fine.
Yep.
And to put that type of person in like a word is like it's so disheartening. It's so like upsetting as a reader, and like you kind of want to do that as a storyteller to be like, yeah, it's bad for him. But I like you just keep going because what else choice do you have? Like you just keep going because what else choice do you have? And so I like that. I like if you're that person, if you've finally been your own man, even if it's not going great for so long, like what do you do when you don't get that anymore? Like how far can you be pushed? And like at what point do you stop seeing this person as sort of like your respected father figure and you start seeing them as what they are? I thought it was interesting. Yeah, it's just a stupid fly character, but I thought I'd explore all these sort of more interesting ideas about employment and bosses and fathers. And
did Patton like come to you and say, hey, you got to like stick within these lines, or you kind of just like you're just doing whatever you want?
I'll tell you that, and again, like I may be doing TMI about just me in general, is that there's things that I'll do and there's things that I won't do because I don't have to.
Right.
They talked to me on a podcast that they liked my work and they'd love to work together, and certainly I like Patton's work. Who wouldn't? I liked Minor Threats a lot, honestly. Like I like Minor Threats, so I was like, well, let's get together. Too. And what they said to me, what Patton said specifically, maybe I shouldn't say things, but he said I want to do this book like I do my show posters, where we find artists that we like and we say, do the thing that you did that we like, but with this character, basically. So I've had complete freedom. And I don't think that I would bet for the alternates, probably they had to have a longer conversation because they created an alternate world. And you know what I mean? Like there's sort of a playover. I'm not really doing that. I'm not messing around too much. I'm really using a lot of the stuff that will be familiar. The lower layers in a lot. Burger Bites there, the city. I'm not adding or subtracting anything to that city, which is great because basically every comic book crossover happened there and is still there, which I think is great. I think it's such a great idea.
Yeah.
So I didn't do anything crazy. They've let me. I can't think of any situation in the 2 issues I've written so far where they were like, "What?" Well, I mean, they give notes. Everyone gives notes, but they weren't like they didn't change anything. They were just like, "What if we made this minor improvement?" And I'm like, "Sure, it's your thing."
Yeah, right. No, that's awesome. No, I'm super excited for that's July 10th. Right.
I think it's kind of insane that series became what it is now. Like,
I love
all these side shoots and multiple. I thought it was a one and done volume thing. Like Patton wanted to do something cool, and that was it. But
here's the thing: like Patton literally gave me a pull quote on Rock Candy Mountain, which I think was 2017, which was 7 years ago. And I can say based on the very few, because I think I sent him a message when I did Mars Attacks, which was just like, hey, I think you'd like to read like this. Like, I don't want to, I just thought like we have this and you might be interested in it. That dude really likes comic books. Like that dude
he does.
Really likes comics. Jordan Bloom, who is his writing partner on Minor Threats, was his director on MODOK, the animated MODOK. That dude loves comic books. And I think for them, they sort of did their little love letter the way that they wanted to do it. It's really well done. I think they had a lot of fun. They are promoting all those books so hard, and they have to be too busy. You know what I mean? Like they have to be too busy doing it. I think they just like it a lot. That's cool. And they like interacting with fans, and they like talking about comics. And I'm sure for Patton, it's probably a nice change of pace, or at least a change of pace, which is probably nice. It's been good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been.
There's that scene in Parks and Rec.
Ryan Brown raising the expectations so high on me. Outside of that's been great.
I know. What the hell?
There's that scene Patton did on Parks and Rec where he
filibuster. Yeah.
And there's an extended version because apparently he just riffed most of that.
About the Marvel universe, right?
Like, that dude truly does love like comics and nerd culture stuff. Like he's all about it. You can tell.
Yep. So I'm sure for to have a success is probably really nice, and I know Dark Horse is excited about it. But there's so many people come in from outside, like Posehn. Posehn did a good run co-writing on Deadpool. It's pretty small number of people who have a degree of celebrity who come into comics and do a good job. I think just like us, me and my peers who like you have to love it. Like that's the only way. You can't be like I have a good idea. It's like no, comics are hard. There's not a lot of money. I guarantee you, whatever royalties they got, they're like we could have done like a 90-second commercial for, AT&T and made 8 times this.
Yeah,
or not more. Honestly, So it's like you have to love it. But I'm sure for them, for those two guys who I have interacted with, who I like, they're like really upbeat, enthusiastic guys, you know. For them to have a success, I'm sure it has to be just like the coolest feeling. So we're pulling for Long Way Down. I hope Long Way Down does as well.
Yeah.
I think Gail Simone's doing some Minor Threat stuff.
I
I'm
don't
pretty
know
sure.
what. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't
can't
think
remember
I don't know if that's what it's called. So it's like it's cool creators, like they're getting
Mhm.
cool people to do it,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that's cool for them too. And you know, I hope Barfly does what I want it to do story wise. I hope it makes people feel what I want them to feel, and I think it's a fun book. If worst case scenario, we made a really fun book and about a fly man.
Yeah. Well, I'm all about fun books.
Well, and I'll just say real quick, because I'm sure Mike wants to transition to the next book, but that word keeps coming up here, and that's one of the things I love about following you is fun.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
we need more fun in comics.
I say it a lot, and maybe too much. You know, I was such a comic guy. I was working at a comic shop when I was 14. I've been reading comics for as long as I remember. In the 90s, it's just like they quit being fun, and that wasn't like because I grew up. It's because it was post Watchmen, grim dark.
Yeah.
I ran into a guy. I was at a festival in town. I got recognized. My wife hates that. And at one point, he was like, we were talking about like Gail Simone's Secret Six, which I think is a great, it's a great fun comic story. But he was talking about, he's like, oh, I think I liked it better than like Ostrander's Suicide Squad. And I'm like, I feel like the Suicide Squad though was like one of the few fun books, and it even is pretty serious and dark, but it's like it was one of the few fun comics in a window where everyone was trying to do street level and gritty. It's like, you know, him and Busiak and Hitman. Like it's a JLI, which wasn't JLI to me, but that's what we shorthand we call it JLI. It was just Justice League. There wasn't very many fun comics, and I remember it was a real down. Like I'm like I don't enjoy this experience, and I got out. And so when I was very old and started to make comics, that was the thing, is like why you try to make the thing, which I've said before, you try to make the thing that you wish existed, and I wish that there was more fun. I wish they were fun, and I say that it doesn't even mean funny to me. It doesn't mean funny. It just means like you go, that was a nice ride. Like what a romp I had. I really enjoyed that. And I feel I don't know. I'm not saying like other people aren't doing that, but I do feel like it's something that's missing. Like we're taking it all a little too serious, maybe. And I take it very serious. But it's like, what do I want? What do you want people to do when they finish this? Like for me, I want people to go the book that took 5 minutes to read, right? To be like that was fun. I'm glad I did that.
Exactly.
Yeah, not every comic needs to give me an existential crisis when I'm done with it. Like thinking about my life and going to therapy.
Right. Come on. We're here for the funny books. I think the last project we were going to talk about, I don't know if you had anything else, Chris, but Karate Prom is your YA book that just came out this month.
I would call it all ages, is what I would
all
call
ages.
It
okay,
everybody,
for all ages.
It's basically just any Kyle Starks book, but I took out the profanities, and there's no heads blowing up. There's a lot of fights, but no one's head gets blown up, and so therefore it's all ages.
Okay,
that's how you decide that. But I think I do think like it's probably outside of Marvel Unleashed, which came out first, but I did this book years ago, and we finally were publishing it. Basically, it's the one book you could give to like a younger person. I wouldn't give my other stuff. They're full of like sex innuendos and violence and
right.
I mean, that's because I'm kind of a prude, though. But like, if you're okay with, because here's the thing, like they're not objectively, none of my books are that bad. Like,
no,
I know a head gets blown up pretty viscerally in Assassination, but that's maybe it. But there's a lot of dick jokes. There's a lot of dick jokes. So like that's the thing is like I don't know if I want my kids seeing like violence and dick jokes and profanity, but like they're cursing at me all day. I'm like, maybe I'm wrong about this. So I do think it's all ages. In fact, I feel like as much as I made it and we published it with the intent of sort of be like, hey teens, you like comics, here's something fun, which by the way, that division of books seems kind of opposed to just having fun. There's several reviews where they're like, there's no moral in this book. And it's called Karate Prom. What do you think the moral was going to be? It's just fun. Like, it's just a funny story of like people having fights. It's fun. But I do think, I think if you're of the age where you love John Hughes movies and like Cynthia Rothrock, guess what? I have something for you. Like, you're going to really like this. So I really do think it's all ages. I think people who've read all my other stuff will read it and be like, oh, it's more Kyle Starks. Like, what fun. And maybe one person will be like, I don't know. Or someone's going to be happy I use less profanities. They'll be like, finally,
Yeah.
finally, a Kyle Starks book that doesn't use the F
That I
bomb as
can
much as
read because that
possible.
guy is too many trashy words in my books.
He's just throwing curses and for no reason. And I'm like, I do think that's how people talk. I don't know.
Yeah, no, mostly. I think
Yeah.
mostly. I wanted to ask about the book because I mean I haven't read it, but it is, you said like a John Hughes movie, so you're following characters and somehow karate is involved.
I could have
Right.
sent you guys a copy of the book. It's really
Yeah.
easy to do.
Yeah,
Here's what
alright.
Karate Prom's about.
Yeah.
It's about a karate prom.
Oh, all right.
No, here's what
We'll talk about the next book.
I mean, here's basically what it's about. Basically, at a karate tournament, our main character, his name is Don the Dragon Wilson Jones. His middle name is the Dragon Wilson. Because his
That's
dad
amazing.
loved Don the Dragon Wilson so much. So
Yeah, of course.
he's at a karate tournament, and there's bullies. Bullies are old friends, and the person who he thinks he's going to fight ends up being the most beautiful girl he's ever seen, and she destroys him.
Nice.
He's so smitten. He's like, we should get a snow cone. We should go do something. She lost the bully. He was fake dating her as mind games. This is the first 3 pages of this book.
Oh wow.
And after that, it's high school bullies.
Nice.
They go to prom. The bully hires hitmen off a Soldiers of Fortune website to come kill them at the prom. So there's a lot of fighting at the prom. There's a guy named Punchman who punches.
Oh my god, I love it.
And that's just the first third of the book. The next book has an evil ex-girlfriend. There's an Italian ninja mafia. It's a huge cast of characters. Someone I can't remember. They're like it's Scott Pilgrim vibes. Of course, we will always say yes, please to Scott Pilgrim vibes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because it's romantic, but there's fighting, and it's sort of there's a big scale, and we want to think the romance isn't what it's about, but it is what it's about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone else said it's if John Hughes made a kung fu movie, and I think to me, I'm like
I love that.
That's shorthand. Very much to me, that's shorthand for what it is. Because it's a lot of tropes. It's a lot of 80s teen tropes. As I do everything, I love tropes, but I like subverting them just a little bit. So it's not. So it feels familiar, but it's not that thing, right?
Yep.
So yeah, Karate Prom, man. I'm real proud of it. I love Karate Prom. I made that book during the lockdown.
Oh wow.
Years ago. I actually gave Karate Prom, which is like to me the first third of the book. I gave it away for free comic book day over the lockdown because I thought we needed it because it was bad times for everybody.
Yeah.
I was gonna do like an 8-page comic and give it away. I was like, I'm just gonna get some because I think we need. I wanted it. I felt remiss that we weren't going to have the one day people celebrate comics, right?
Right.
And so I was like, I'll ask for a title, and no one will care that if it's 8 pages and it's bad, no one will get mad at me because they know I asked for the title.
Yep.
So I asked Twitter. I was like, hey, give me titles for this free comic book thing I'm going to give away, and we'll vote on the winner. Karate Prom is objectively the greatest name of anything ever.
Yeah.
So
no,
you know
worked.
Karate Prom's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And what ended up happening is I did, I think, 32 pages in 10 days to make sure that I could really, I was way into it. I got way into it. It made me very happy. And I did Pay What You Want for Free Comic Book Day 2020. I don't think I made any money, but that wasn't the point. And I sort of like loved these kids, Sam and Don. I loved them so much. And the characters around them, the bullies and Punchman and Don's 2 best friends. I love them so much. I was like, I need to do karate after prom. So I did karate after prom. I like karate after prom so much, which I think was 45 pages. I did karate graduation. So I had basically like 130 pages of comics that I did secretly, and I gave away 30 of them. Because I was like, I'm going to either do a Kickstarter or I'll figure out something to do with this book because I love it so much. I think it's so good. And we ended up selling it to First Second, I think the end of 2022. And then so I sort of came back to it 3 years later to do. We added pages to make it a little bit thicker because they like a fat book. They don't want a skinny book; they want a fat book, and we fleshed it out a little bit. And Karate Prom.
That's awesome.
Now we're here. I love it. I love it. I just reread it because I had to reread it to make sure all the pages were in the right order, and it was exactly that thing where I finished it. And I go, oh, that's exactly what I want it to be. Because I had thought about it for so long. I had thought about it for so long. I'm like, it's exactly what I want it to be.
That's awesome.
I think it's really fun. I think it's really joyful. It is full of fights. And I love a fight. I just love a fight. I like choreographing fights. We talked about Rock Candy Mountain. I just reread that because we're reissuing that this summer in a collected edition, which will have like all the back matter from the issues and stuff. I'm tangenting a little bit, but one
That's
of the I hadn't read it in so long, but I'm reading it again because you want to make sure all the pages are in the right order. And it's not like I sit around and read my books, and I frankly don't remember them very well. Like I live so heavily in them that they're my life during the time I'm doing them, and then they're my life that's over. I did the thing I want to do, or I didn't. You know what I mean? So I hadn't read Rock Candy Mountain probably in a couple of years, and one of the issues is a fight. Like literally, one of the issues is a 20-page fight, and I love that. I love that type of thing so much. So I mean, this is. I would hesitate how many fights are in Karate Prom, but it's a lot. It's a lot of fighting. Yeah. And I like choreographing fights. I think it's fun. I think they're part of storytelling, and I like to tell stories with the things that are available to me.
Not an easy thing to do either, though. Within a comic.
You gotta want it. You gotta want it.
Yeah. So I want to ask about first, second books, but first I want to share this with you because I was looking through Goodreads. I was actually trying to figure out who the publisher was at the time, but then I started looking at reviews and while a lot of these reviews are like very in depth and like this is
they
what
like
I
to
felt
say what the whole story is.
Our man here, Lucas Brown, gives it 5 stars, and he simply just says, "I had a big dumb smile on my face the whole time I read this book."
Yeah,
exactly.
That's it. That's I'm gonna say I say this. There's something like we want to promote the book. Listen, you should read the book. If someone says the words Karate Prom to you and you smile at all, just get the book. I mean, don't. I'm not going to let you down. If you think the idea of Karate Prom is funny, but for me, like we're in different places. I mean, I mentioned last December, I had so much books. Like I wasn't having fun. There's a lot of work. Nothing was getting the attention it deserved. I felt like, and rushing so much, you don't get to live in it. And I want to live in these stories like Rock Candy Mountain. When I made Karate Prom, it was a time in everyone's life that was so dark. I just wanted to make something joyful. And it's like, it's something I made purely out of like pulling joy out of myself to create something joyful because I thought people needed it. And the only people who read it are my Twitter followers, right? I knew the group is small. But it's like, if I can bring any amount of joy, but like, that's it. Like, that's the reaction I want. Like, that was really fun. That was really fun. It's silly. It's cute. I think all the characters are likable at some point in time. Even like you have like your sort of nameless bully henchmen, the weird looking guys behind the blonde good looking guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even those guys, like one of the things I really like is like everyone has an arc. Like everyone has an arc.
That's awesome.
Everything sort of matters. Like the fights matter. They tell you about the characters. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just I'm so pleased with it. And when I reread the comps, I had to read it last year. Proofreading is different, especially if like the experience of making the book can be challenging sometimes. But like the comp is like now it's done and it's mine. And that's what I read the book and I had a smile. I'm like, this is exactly what I want to be. I made the thing I wish existed, which was John Hughes made a kung fu movie, I guess.
That's amazing.
And it's like it hits all those buttons. It feels like an 80s teen movie to me, which I think is we use that as shorthand. I think all teen movies sort of feel like 80s teen movies.
I know what you mean.
But there's maybe more fighting. They're a little bit more aggressive. People getting pushed down the slopes at the ski. You don't see that a lot anymore. Danny LaRusso getting beat up in the bathroom or whatever.
Like, we need more of that in our teen movies. That's what we need. Yeah. So less drama, more getting the shit beat out of you. Yeah.
But I do think it's an extremely joyful book. And I think it does that successfully, and I'm really proud of that. I'm really pleased with how it came out. It's a good book. It's for everybody. If you like anything I've done, you'll like Karate Prom. Probably a lot. I think
I'm gonna pick it up.
One of the better things I've done in a while, honestly. But I did it 4 years ago, so I don't know how to do the metrics on it. I don't. In fact, this Wolfman thing, who woofs the Wolfman, is the first thing I've drawn since I did Karate Prom during the lockdown. So it's super nice.
It's been a while.
I always forget how. I've drawn commissions and stuff, but it's the first comic storytelling I've done. And I just forget how much I like it, like how happy it makes me because
that's cool.
I get paid to write more than I get paid to draw. And
yeah.
Anyway, Karate Prom, it's great. I highly recommend it. If you like anything, if you like Peacemaker, you'll like it. If you like anything, you'll like it.
So before we wrap up, you're publishing it through, or it's being published through First Second Books. I'm assuming that's more of a book publisher than a comic publisher, but can you tell us a little bit about them and how you got hooked up with them?
Yeah, I mean, First Second is they do mostly graphic novel stuff, and I couldn't tell you anything about First Second.
Mhm.
Here's what I can tell you about First Second. That's who my agent put the book with. Number one, number two, one of my
Nice.
they're the ones who said yes to this amount of money.
Yeah.
I know people. A lot of my friends have done First Second. I'm sure I have a bunch of First Second books back here. I'm just but I will say when I told one of my not comic creating friends that I was like, oh, I have a book coming out with Boom, which is Pine and Merrimack, and I'm doing Karate Prom. And for a second, they're like, oh, that's my two favorite comic publishers. So it's like,
Oh, wow.
that's awesome.
Okay.
First Second's been around for a long time, and they've done stuff. Macmillan brought them, I think, a few years ago. So they're like a sort of the graphic novel all ages underneath. They've done a bunch of stuff. They've done a bunch of comic stuff.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
looking through what they're doing. Yeah.
Hot segment where I look like a dummy. You don't know about that.
Yeah, I know.
I know they've done a bunch of stuff. I know they have.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a few what they call adult comics.
Because you'll try stuff out. You know what I mean? Like you'll try. Yeah.
But
even this, they were like, they're like, we haven't done like pure comedy in a while.
Okay. That's cool.
So
they wanted to try something out.
They went, and they liked the book because they got the book. I mean, it's a finished book for all intents and purposes, you know.
Yeah, so they just have to flip it around and
we just fleshed it out, and
that's awesome. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to read it now too because that sounds like something I would really enjoy. Especially, I'm a huge kung fu nerd, so
yeah, it's my most kung fu book since Rock Candy Mountain, which is all kung fu.
Nice
in many ways.
Yeah.
I think the characters are really likable. It's a great book, man. I mean, it's tough to talk about. Like, what am I supposed to say?
Yeah. No, that's it. It's great. At least I'll be reading it.
John Hughes made a kung fu movie. Kids go to prom. There's fighting.
It's out now, so go find it and buy it.
Go check that out.
Yeah,
and then you kind of buried in there when you were talking that Rackety Mountain's coming out in a single volume now, recollected. Which I remember when we talked last time, you said one of your things you were disappointed about with the original collection was that it was split in two.
Yeah, dude, that's so funny that you remember that. I'd say that's probably my only comic regret. And I didn't know any better is the first series that I did. And they were like, we're going to do 2 volumes. And I said, of course, why wouldn't we? But I also thought there's a chance it was going to be, it could have gone on. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's going to be 4 volumes and it makes sense. The fact that it ended up only being 8 issues, which was not a surprise. In fact, 8 issues, I haven't done an 8-issue series since. You know what I mean? Rick and Morty was ongoing. Yeah. Everything else has been 4, 5, or 6. Like it's kind of a blessing I got to do 8 issues, though also I was my only employee in many ways. So sales got pretty low. But I wasn't surprised at 8, but my probably my biggest regret was that Sex Castle has sold steadily since it came out. I think it's a full story. It's right there. Yep. You get, and people would buy it and then give it away or loan it and then not get it back and buy it again and then repeat because they're like, this book is funny. And I think Rock Candy Mountain would have been the same. I think it would have done better. And it was Eisner nominated. That was my second Eisner nomination. Yep. But I think in the eyes of readers, it would have had more longevity if it was easier to read because I didn't know what I was doing. It was a $10. The first one's a $10 image trade. It's 4 issues. I'm better at issue endings now because I've done more single issues, but it just stops. In many ways, it just stops. There's no cliffhanger. There's no urge to keep reading. It's the first half. It's literally the first half of the story. So
with just a hard
the second half is really where the meat is. And a lot of people didn't read that because a lot of people bought volume 1, but there's no reason. I get it. I mean, I get it. So I regret that. I think if you read it in a row, it's so dope. I think it's such a good story. But if you just read 4 issues, you're like, it's funny. You know what I mean? Like it's funny, but all those first 4 issues exist to set up the back end where everything great happens, right? So kind of a whammy. Yeah, I always regretted it. Last year, I don't know if it was I Hate This Place, my third Eisner nominee. I don't know if it's I Hate This Place. I don't know if it was Peacemaker. Where Monsters Lie sold out. I don't know if it was something last year. People were finally doing what, as a creator, you hope they always do, which is check out your old work because there's more. Like if you like the one thing, you'll like the other thing, which I think for me is true because I have a voice. And even if you go, oh, I don't like Hollywood mysteries, I only like it when it's tough guys punching people. I'm like, no, you'll like it. It's still the same thing. It's just like trying a different. It's just dumb characters in a different genre. But Rock Candy Mountain has seemed to be the clear winner of my catalog, like
That's awesome.
what people are actually
Yeah.
checking out. So Image actually reached out to me and they're like, what do you think about this? And I think back matter and single issues is great to get people to buy single issues as an impetus. But then it's like, well, it's gone, and like, it kind of makes me sad. Even though I know it only existed for people to buy the single issues, it's not any of the trades, and so for them to be like, you want to do a collected issue, like a collected, I'm like, yeah, like so badly,
That's
badly want to. My friend Matt Kent designed the cover. He did the cover design for me because I'm terrible at
cool.
it.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a cool cover.
Is it shiny? No.
I think they're doing spot gloss on it. I do believe they're doing spot gloss on it.
Oh,
yeah.
Mike just bought
I'm
one.
so
Yeah,
I have
I'm gonna buy two.
I have like no design sense, and I'll say like it's him and Matt Kent and Schweitzer both are very much like the book should be like an object of art, like it should be like a beautiful thing in itself.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
I'm like literally you could print it on a waffle. You know, like I don't care. Like
Just
and
print
in fact, like full disclosure, if what's the cheapest way we could print it? Like that's what I would like. If it was up to me, I'd be like, I just want it to be accessible. I made it to be read. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm that's not like because they kind of give me they're like you don't care, and I'm like I personally don't care about that in things that I get. I do care that people like it. I do care that people take it seriously. But for me, I'm like, it's just like my car is missing a hubcap. This is for me in books. My car is missing a hubcap, and I went to this dude's house one time. I don't know. We were gonna watch WrestleMania. I don't know. And he's like, hey, you're missing a hubcap. And I'm like, so what?
Yeah.
I don't like it only exists to get me from point A to, like it could be missing a lot of things. As long as it gets me from point A to point B. And like I'm very much that way with comics, is that to me it's like I want the story. I want to read the comic, and everything else doesn't matter. So it does matter. I'm not saying it does to me specifically. I would love to figure out a way to make floppies cost $1.25 again. I would love to. And then you'll lose a lot of money. And I'm like, probably, but maybe we'll sell more. Maybe we sell more.
You definitely sell more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd rather have, what's the math? 5? It's 5 an issue, right? I would rather have 75 readers at whatever that is that equals $100.30 or whatever.
Yeah.
Than have 20 readers at $5. Because of those 75 readers, maybe 35 are going to buy the next
tell
one,
their friends or buy the next.
I got 15 more. I got 15 more readers than 20.
Right.
Like that's all I want. I'm making them to be read. Hey DC, you guys want to lose money? Let's do $1.25.
Yeah, let's do it. Call them up.
But I don't know if you would. Like, would you lose money? Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. I'd be interested. I'm willing to do the experiment.
We've only ever seen the shift the other way, though, is the problem. You know what I mean? It's like
I know, and I think I just don't like it. And that's not. Here's I'm doing this thing where I say stuff I know I shouldn't say, and I know as I'm saying it I shouldn't say it. But we've leaned into comics to be like they're vinyl. It's not music. It's not the music. They're collectible. They're like vinyl, right? It's a $55 record,
right?
And it's like, who gives a shit? Like, what do you want? You just want to hear the music. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to hear the music. And again, I know that's me, but I'm saying if we're only doing a collectible, expensive version, we're gatekeeping everyone who just wants to hear the song, the comic book song. And I want people to hear the song. And I'm interested. I'm trying to find a way. I think the industry is going to change. It's going to shift in some way. And I'm very interested in trying to see what that paradigm is going to be. And I'm not trying to get there first, but I'm trying to figure out how to give it away. Like, how can we give it? And I'm not saying give it away, but how maybe we can. You know what I mean? Like, maybe we can webtoon. Maybe we should have a webtoons model where we go, what if if you like it, you'll buy it. And I think that's true. That's why records sell well now, because people can hear the music anywhere. You know what I mean? You can listen on Spotify.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right.
Listen to this. You used to hear music on the radio for free, and then you'd go buy the CD because you liked it, right? Comics used to be everywhere you went for 60 cents. Right. Everywhere you went for 60 cents. The gas station, the grocery store.
Yep.
Every place had comics just to shut a kid up. Why did we move? Like, there's no radio for us.
Yeah.
There's no radio for comics, and I feel like that's a mistake in 2024.
That's interesting.
Again, I say stuff I shouldn't say, but I think
that's an interesting approach, though.
Because here's the thing: that collectible that Peach Momoko cover is its own thing. right?
Right.
Yeah.
That physical comic, if you love monthly comics, you're buying them now.
Right.
And you're probably not
Mhm.
going to stop, right? But
Right.
what about these millions of kids reading manga who love sequential storytelling? How do we get them? How do we get everyone else who likes sequential storytelling to read? It's like, it's different. We got to figure that out. We got to figure out Spotify or something for comics. Comic-Fi. That's dumb. Don't
Comic-Fi.
listen to me.
No, don't do that one.
I don't know what I'm talking about. But I do like the idea. I like the idea of comics being accessible again somehow.
I
really
agree with you.
interested in
Yeah,
it.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
But yep.
I think that's everything I have,
Hey,
Mike. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, I just want to say, like, I'm an all digital reader now. So, like, for me, it doesn't make sense when you have a $6 book that's a floppy and you have a $6 book that's also digital.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you
that
again,
to me is like the big divide. There is like, why is it like that, you know?
And again,
Yeah.
I'm in an unfinished basement. Like, how smart am I? You know what? I'll be the first to say, how smart am I? But that's stupid. I mean, that's literally for the digital version to be the exact same price. It doesn't make any sense. You're not paying for anything. The server space, it used to be when it first started, there's an argument about how server space was so expensive.
Right.
That's not true anymore.
Yeah,
it's literally that's literally not wanting to upset retailers. And the fact of the matter is that the people who would buy digital comics cheap would never go into a comic shop. And I love comic shops, but most people do not. I don't like going into. I had to get windshield wipers, and I went to the auto parts store. You know what I mean? And they put them on for you. It's great. I'm not comfortable in there. I'm not going to go just hang out at the auto parts store. You know what I mean? So it's like comics are the same. You're like, oh, I like comics. Probably it's like, well, you can only go one place, and they're gonna make you feel weird about being in there. You know what I mean? Like, no one wants that. It's like, well, then I'll just buy them digitally, and they're like, oh, they cost $8,000, even though, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Kyle, you're right, but I can answer the question because it's a similar argument going on in the video game space where everything's moving digital and people are wondering why it's not cheaper digital. And it's because the companies don't want to piss off the retailers.
No,
they feel like
exactly
retailers will get mad and there'll be a downfall.
100%. 100%. But like,
even if you're completely right, like
no, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. That's in my opinion. And again, I'm gonna say, I'm seriously, like, I'm in therapy. Quit talking. Is that in our industry is the result of Diamond having them or not? They would literally play retailers and publishers against each other. You don't want to upset the retailers. You want to upset
right.
Again, I say to you, those hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of kids reading manga aren't going into your comic book shop. They are simply not going to go in there. My daughters, whose father makes comic books for a living, won't ever of their own will go into a comic shop. Right?
Yeah.
That's a mistake.
Right.
That the mistake is you go, do we want to piss off retailers? No, we don't. Do we want to get as many readers as we realistically can? Yeah, that's what our job is.
That's
what you want. Everyone benefits from it, and I think they're just two different windows. And I think if you ask most retailers today in 2024, if digital sales take money from them, I think the majority will go, no, it's a different client base. Like, they don't come here anyway. And so that a lot of the stuff that I think direct market stuff does is of the thought process of how can we, I should shut up, is how can we get more money from this very small group of people who are coming because they are addicted. I mean, in a good way. Like, I'm addicted to, I love reading comics. I love books. I love film. I love music.
Right.
I'm addicted, right? But it's like that number is shrinking because now those guys are getting older. I remember like somebody, I was talking to somebody the other day, and again, I don't know, I'm in a basement. What do I know? Is that I remember when WWE, like late 90s, everyone was about the 18 to 35 demographic. That was the number one demographic in like the late 90s, early odds, right? 18 to 35. I remember WWE is like, we're going to attitude era. We want this 18 to 35. The people, and again, I'm not speaking from a place of knowledge, but I would imagine the majority of people buying monthly comics are outside of that. I bet they're 35 up, if not 40 and up.
Mm-hmm.
Those people are dying. I say it with like, they're dying off. And they're not being replaced. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, the thing is, I believe this to be true. Comics are they're amazing. Comics are the best. All those superheroes are great. They're great. That's why we love them. That's why we're having this podcast. That's why people are listening to us.
Right.
Those people would like them too. These people who were just excluded would like them too. Let's figure out how to get it in their hands.
Get everybody.
I do think
everybody.
With people who love entertainment, when you love it, you want a piece of it. You want to own it. Is it a poster? Is it a book? Is it a statue? I don't know. But for us, it's books. You know what I mean? I think if you read it and you go, I love it, you're going to go buy it. And it's like, well, we just have to make better things. I'm here for that. I'm here for making more good things, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I love comics. I know I was talking to, I saw one of my peers this weekend who's more successful than me, and I was like, don't you think like this and this? And he's like, I'm not trying to save the industry anymore. And I go, oh well, I should probably
don't die on that hill. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I should be like, well, I'm not gonna. No one's gonna listen to me. I know
Right.
they won't, but I do think
it's a bigger machine
I'm
to move.
I'm interested in trying stuff, and
Right.
and I'm certainly hoping. I have a big. DC is going to announce something, I think, at the end of this year or beginning of next year that I think is a really big thing that I'm going to be a part of, and I'm stoked for that. This is different than the one shot. I did a one shot character. Like, we're doing something new, and I'm stoked about that. I'm going to live in it. My thing is, like, I'm making space so that I can live in this. Like, I got to live in Karate Prom. Like, I got to live in Rocky Mountain. Like, I got to live in most of my books. And but it's also like, I think after that, I'm going to draw some books. I'm just going to draw some more books because I like it, like Karate Prom and Rocky Mountain and Old Head, which are books I'm really proud. Sex Castle, Killed Them All. Those are my, they're 100% my books. I was like, I'm going to do some of that. And you know what? Frankly, I'm going to try to figure out if there's a better way, not a better way to do business, because that's not the answer. I don't think the way we do business is wrong as an industry. Maybe. But I think we could be doing more. I think there's more things that we could be doing that would, yes, probably be a little bit different, but I don't think it'd be harder. It just, there's bigger questions, but I'm interested. I've heard some really interesting, like people doing really interesting Kickstarter things that are forthcoming. Carl Kerschel does sort of like a subscription service, and he does a Kickstarter. Like, I think there's other ways to do it.
There's different avenues to explore for sure.
Yeah, and it doesn't disregard retailers. Like, you can still do these things and still have traditional comic publishing.
Especially with like Kickstarter. It's like Kickstarter doesn't hardly ever take their retailer into account.
Dude,
I mean, if there's a tier for
it,
it's
there's a whole thing. Kickstarter is the third biggest comic publisher.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And there's millions of dollars going through there. Yeah, right.
It's an interesting thing where I think it's out there, and it's like, how do we kind of move it all? I'm not saying manga is a different beast.
Right, for sure.
Beautifully. But also, the thing is, it's still sequential storytelling. And I think some people I think there's a percentage of humans that just love sequential storytelling, but you have to get it in their hands. Like, how can we kind of merge all these things where you get the Kickstarter audience, you get not the manga audience. It's tough because why would they read it? But if it's there and it's cheap or free, why would they not try it if it looked interesting? And I just think as an industry, we need it, but also we should keep this stuff. It should be what it has been.
Right.
Because I think that's a market within itself, right? That's the collectible market. But like, I don't want to make a collectible thing, which goes back to me talking about, is the book shiny? This is me going all the way. Remember when you asked if the book was shiny?
So isn't it shiny or not? That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah. It's like me going the whole way back, right? Is that I just want people to be able to read it. I just want people to have it. This guy who I ran into yesterday was like, "Oh, I'm saving." He's like, "I'm gonna get Peacemaker when I have a chance." And I said, "Read it on Hoopla. Read it on Hoopla.
Yeah, get it at the
if you like it, then buy it."
Yeah.
Dude, I don't care. I didn't listen. I have 2 daughters. I have a wife. We'd love to move out of this basement. Am I trying to make money? 100%. But I'm not making this. Like, I don't make a story and go, I think this is the one. I'm trying to tell stories to make people feel good and to get them through these dark, shitty days. And the point is that I'm making it for people to read. Like, I'm making it for people to consume. So I want I want everyone. Give me 100,000 people and 25,000 are like, I don't know, comics suck. I'm like, that's fair. You know what I mean? Like, that's okay. It's not for you.
Right.
I don't like musicals.
That's okay. Hey, I do sometimes.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. You could not like a thing.
You can not like a thing, and it doesn't mean the thing's bad. It just means it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
Comics, man. You gotta love them. See how I did that pullback too. I did that all the way back too again.
And I mean, that's why Chris and I have been doing this song, because we love comics, I think. But all right.
It's all grift, Mike.
Yeah, it's all grift. Dude, Kyle, man, thanks for hanging out with us for so long today. I really appreciate your time. And I just want to check all the boxes before you go for everybody here. Barfly #1 coming out July 10th, everybody. Karate Prom is out right now. You can go look for that. It's a lot of fun. And then we had
bookstores.
Yeah, comic shops, bookstores, and then the collected edition of Rock Candy Mountain is when is that coming out? Soon, right?
June or July? Yeah,
June or July. Okay, I didn't have the date.
In fact, I think June. I think FOC just ended, so I think it's like June 10th or something like that.
Okay. And then by Identity Crisis in July as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I cannot wait. Kyle,
I
thanks
can't
so
wait
much.
for the curse. I can't wait for the curse that I get from doing that book. It'll be great.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be cursed for sure.
I really hope someone hands that to Alan Moore.
I really hope
so.
someone's gonna do it. Ship mail like a box to his house. Thanks again, man. We really appreciate your time.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're on social media and everything. Do you want to promote any of that real quick before we bounce out of here?
I'm at the Kyle Starks on all the major ones: Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram. I have a Patreon. It's just Patreon Kyle Starks. I do a sticker club. We do 2 stickers a month for $5 flat. It's whatever I want. Sometimes we do polls. I also have a store, KyleStarks.com. It has stuff on it. Buy it at its comic shop. Don't buy it from me. Or come see me at a con. It has my appearances and stuff on there, KyleStarks.com. But that's it. That's all I got. I'm just making books. Thanks. Go read some books. Go to Hoopla. Thanks. Look at Kyle Starks. Why not? I don't care.
Everybody out there, I will have links down below where you can check out all Kyle's work and the stuff that's coming out. So make sure to check those out and click on them. And as Mike said, Kyle, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk to us. It was a great conversation, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.